now I've put you through the pain of talking about Persepolis. Let's look at other news happening in world football. So this is the bit where we get a chance to sort of look at broader news as what's happening in Asian football or other interesting things that have just happened in general football that we've sort of noticed.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the big things I wanted to bring up was the future of Indian football. Just a quick discussion because you've got there are two top divisions in India, the ISL and the I League. And the 6th season of the ISL was about to kick off. I make it sound like a TV show or something.
I know. When you talk about Indian football, you become so passionate. I don't know why. What gets into you? Is it the colonization? Is it the?
No. It's like it's like I said to you before. It's like a sleeping giant of football. It's 1 billion people. Like China is beginning to grow. There are emerging players, emerging talents, emerging clubs that are, bigger, better than a lot of clubs that have got a lot of tradition now. I think if you put some Chinese clubs up against some British Championship clubs, the Championship clubs would struggle. If you went and played Shanghai SIPG on form versus Leeds on form, Shanghai would win. So you're starting to see a quality that wasn't there before.
And it's still not there.
It's getting there, and it's the thing with Indian football. So the reason I'm bringing it up, Kerala Blasters, massive club. They've got a new manager, Shatiore, who was the assistant manager at Al Jazeera, and he's just signed Jairo Rodriguez, that played at centre back for Santos with Neymar. Played at Sepahan, played at Persela. So there's players that you wouldn't usually think, and managers that you wouldn't usually think of going to the Indian League, now going to the Indian League. And there are now talks about the I League and the ISL merging and becoming an all India league.
That would be
so
cool.
I think I think we're a couple of years away now from having an actual national Indian football league, like one single unified Premier Division. So I think I just wanted to bring it up because it's an interesting thing. You've got like these players that have clearly got talent that 3 years ago wouldn't go to India. Managers that probably wouldn't have gone to India 5-6 years ago coming in. There's now money there. There's discussions about one big top league, and the Indian national team is starting to perform better than it has in the past. So yeah, I just wanted to say it's like I think this is a pivotal season that you're going to see in Indian football. So I think it's just one to watch out for.
Okay. That's it? That's all you have in other news?
Well, I wanted to mention Wu Lei again, that we saw in the Asian Cup.
Go on, we have time.
Fan international, now at Espanyol. Yeah, he was brilliant. He was absolutely brilliant in the Asian Cup. And he's now got 4 goals for Espanyol this season so far. He scored a goal in the Europa League. So I just that again is another pivotal moment. When we're talking about the quality of Chinese football coming up, well, the quality of their academies and their players is clearly good because now you've got Chinese players playing in Europa League, scoring goals in La Liga, having an impact for the team in the starting 11.
Mm-hmm.
So I just think what that does for Chinese football and Chinese football fans, it puts a sense of belief down. Because there's I was listening just before the Asian Cup. There was, I can't think of his name. There's an old BBC reporter, and he went out and did a radio show podcast type thing in China, and he was saying that like grassroots football has always been there in China, but it's very few and far between. There's like a few old school grassroots clubs, but there's a lot of people that just don't play football, don't watch football. Like, what's that? But now with a strong AFC Asian Cup for the national team, and then now with basically a superstar of Chinese football playing in European championships, I think that's the belief that's needed. I think you're going to see a massive transformation in Chinese football fan culture in the next few years. and it will start to develop the same way like you see in the J League. It's got its own vibe. I think you're going to see a similar thing with Chinese football in the next few years, but on the back of that.
So I think this national team is going to inspire lots of kids to become
Yeah,
football fans. And
yeah. I think the players that we got now, it's the first real generation of Chinese footballers that will inspire the next. So I think that's where we're at with it. I think this is the breakthrough generation of Chinese football.
what a great place to invest in football, you know, a place where no one plays football, and they are on the verge of connecting with the game. You're just gonna have loads
Yeah,
of interest and new players.
yeah, and in India and China are in the same boat where they've got so many bloody like people. It's like a billion people, billion and a half people in each country. I mean, you could have 15 divisions. Like even in England, we've got like I think it's like a 17-tier structure. You know, so
It is, but the football is a
yeah,
massive thing here. Unlike,
yeah,
well, football structure will grow according to participation and interest, and how much money there is, you know. So
yeah. I mean, there's always a bit of politics going on involved with it because obviously you've got the ISL and the I League, and there's the who's really the top league
what is
going on.
ISL? Can you explain?
I think it is Indian Soccer League and then the Indian League. They're two separate leagues, like organisations that clubs join to play and win in, basically. But never do the two meet. They're just separate organisations, basically,
Yeah.
and they've argued for years about who the top one is. It's a similar thing happened over in America when MLS kicked off. You had the NASL, which is older, and NASL for years
What
was
happened
saying we are actually the top division of American football. The MLS was just clearly better. It happened. This sort of pattern happens a lot. Even in English football, you had the Championship, which used to actually be the champions of England, and then they made the Premier League to make more business and more money and become bigger clubs. So yeah, I think that's where we're at with Indian football and Chinese football. The structures are starting to come together. The money is starting to be there. The conversations, the politics is starting to take shape. Where you're going to start to have these bigger league structures, second divisions, generations, grassroots football growing. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I just thought it was an interesting point to bring up.
Yeah, of course there is, of course it is. So, according to Harley, watch out for India. He warned you in 2019. You know. But yeah,
Yeah,
of course. I would also say, yeah, going back to, I was looking at India's national team recent results. Yeah, they stopped Qatar in Doha. Remember that? In the
yeah,
qualifiers, which was a crazy game. Yeah, I
yeah.
suppose they are coming up.
Yeah, they're coming through. They're coming through slowly but surely. They're going to grow.
And Qatar national team, let's not forget, they have just won the title of Asia. So Asian champions at home got stopped by the Indian national team. Okay, dude, that's in other news. Thank you very much for that. But this is another. This is the segment I have to do. The segment that I always promised. It's called the Cool Stadium. You know, Cool
Yep.
Stadium. So let me cut in a cool way to the Cool Stadium. Okay, cool. Yeah, some fun facts about Saitama 2002. Interestingly, the game that we just talked about. Here's by the way some cool pictures of Saitama 2002. I'll leave it on. I'll talk over it for like a few minutes. This is not long. This is not a long segment. The game that we just discussed, Urawa Reds versus Guangzhou, took place in this stadium actually. So, the home of Urawa Red Diamond hosted many cool games. The 2002 World Cup, uh, 3 games between Brazil, Turkey. Yeah, big moment, big moment. Remember the Rivaldo, the Rivaldo, what was it called? When that Turkish player kicked him in the balls and he fell off, and he got a red card, and that's when things went wrong. So that took place in that stadium. Yeah, at the corner. Yeah, remember? that famous. That's one of the I suppose funny World Cup moments. I saw it in BBC Three. It's in there in the top 100 World Cup moments that took place in this arena. AFC Champions League 2007 when they beat Sepahan. The trophy was lifted at this arena 2007, and 2020 Olympic. This is a selected venue for the 2020 Summer Olympic in Tokyo. Of course, this is not in the Tokyo city, but because it's so cool, it's been selected to host the football games. Yeah, man. First game, Yokohama played and they lost to Urawa Diamond. And let me just say, the capacity of the stadium is 63,000 people. That's how much. That's how much crowd it can hold in 5 levels. That's it is.
Let's not forget that Urawa and Yokohama have both been J League teams. I think since the start. I think they're both two of the teams that have never been relegated, if I'm not mistaken.
No, you are. You're mistaken. Urawa is.
Am I mistaken?
Yes, Urawa.
Oh, they've been relegated as well. Yeah,
they have been. They have previously been relegated before.
So that's crazy. Like a second division Japanese team with 63,000 fans.
But that stadium always existed. I forgot to mention that. But if they they build it up for the World Cup with lots of money, and it's here today. It's one of the biggest football dedicated stadiums in Asia. So in Asia you have all these massive stadiums, but they have the track around it.
Yeah.
Because they are multi-purpose for athletics as well, right? You rarely have a stadium dedicated to football only. Just like you have in lots of arenas like that in Europe, for example, Arsenal, Chelsea, all these English clubs. Their stadiums is built for football. That's and only football, nothing else. But in Asia, it's not like that, because of lack of resources. They built multi-purpose arenas. But this is one of the biggest football dedicated stadiums in the entire continent. So that's a fun fact. That's it. I'm finished.
Yeah, well, I was just going to say again about that the sort of legacy for Turkey, because that was a breakthrough moment in Turkish football for them again. Just because they're a team that sort of border Asia and Europe, and Turkey's really its own thing, similar to Russia. Like they're kind of connected to both, but they're kind of their own thing. But just to put that in context, it had been 48 years since Turkey had been in with a chance of winning the World Cup. During like the 1980s as well, like Turkey lost 8-0 to England. So there were some dark years.
Why are we humiliating Turkish national team all of a sudden? Like what
I'm not. No. I'm just saying there's like a context for Turkey like that.
Right.
That getting to that semi-final was such an unbelievable moment, and I think they did all right in the Euros. There was a Euros in the mid noughties where Turkey was pretty damn good as well. I'm trying to remember which one it was, but yeah, I'm just saying it's been home to some very big moments in national sides football in its history. It's already got quite a big legacy as a stadium. It's quite famous for a lot of things.
Atatürk Stadium,
Yeah,
Right.
and some games to come as well, like say with the Summer Olympics football in 2020, which will probably mean that there'll be a Japanese Champions League final there at some point as well. No doubt about
potentially.
that.
Yeah, actually, yeah. Speaking about the whole 2007 final, yeah, it can happen again. 12 years later, here we are in Saitama Stadium. Cool.
Yeah,
dude.
One Punch Man Stadium.
Yeah, One Punch Man Stadium. Okay, cool, man. That is the end of this show. We have nothing else to talk about. Is there anything you want to say?
No, maybe just a heads up on the next show. I'm not sure when we'll do it, but we'll try and squeeze one in maybe before the second leg of the Champions League semi-final. So it might be a slightly different show. If not, we'll catch you after. and give you the
Yeah,
reaction.
no, I think after, dude. After the second round, second leg,
Okay.
we should come back. And please subscribe, hit the like button. If any
Tell us what
suggestion,
you want us to
yeah,
cover as
of
well.
course. By the way, I want to say next for the next show, for the next podcast when we cover the international games, because we will have international break soon again.
Yeah.
We're gonna have another additional segment to the podcast where we review a film. I've been saying this for a while, but hasn't happened yet. But I'll do it. I promise I'll do it in the next show. So
Sure.
we come back for the international break to cover Asian qualifiers and how that shit
Yep.
goes down, and Champions League semi-final. So
Champions League
twice.
semi-final, and we'll see how the J League is shaping up.
Oh yeah, that's very cool. That's
1 point amongst the top 3 teams, 1 point amongst the bottom 2 or 3 teams as
not
well.
long left, right? Not long left. It's
6
heating up.
games.
Yeah,
6 games.
dude.
Yeah, it's getting what they call it, Fergie time. It's turning into Fergie time now.
Yeah, of course. Cool. So up until then, we will leave you to do your own stuff, and we'll see you later. Don't go changing.
Catch you later.